What's up, guys? How did I go from 16 years old to a full-time investor, financial coach by 24? I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it in the video. Now, if you're not going to stick for the whole video, I'll go ahead and tell you the short, simple, sweet, no details, really not useful version right now. My entire life, I worked full-time over the summer, part-time in school, and I saved all the money. I worked a lot, saved a lot of money, invested it into the stock market. The pandemic happened, stocks crashed. I bought companies. I kept saving. 22 happened, stocks crashed again. I bought more, and then it made me wealthy. I'm not a multimillionaire, full disclosure, but this is what I do full time. So to me, I'm rich because I get to spend my day doing whatever I want to. Now, does that mean I'm going to play Skyrim and eat chips all day? It used to, but no. That's not what it means. It means that now I try to educate other people of how I did this, and I also help people who are not in good financial situations try to get out of those situations. Like I said, I am a professional, financial coach. Very cool title. And I've also went through the Dave Ramsey financial coaching program. So your boy is a professional, and I got some professional tools. But let me tell you the actual version of how I, basically became a full-time investor in less than 8 years. So I grew up in a very small town, like 1,600 people. No one in my family was into stocks, knew stuff like that at all. So I was really going from nothing. Whenever I was 15, my grandfather used to have cows, and I'm not talking about Yellowstone, thousands of acres. No, we're just normal people. He has some cows because we're country. We're country bumpkins. We have some cows. But anyways, he was kind of getting out of the cattle business, and I wanted to start working. 15, I'm like, hey, I want nice things. Because, I grew up in a, middle-class family. We always had food. We, had vacations every single year. But, they didn't give me a debit card and go, hey, go to Target, which we were Walmart. We were a Walmart family. But anyways, I wanted nice things. So I had good examples in my life of hardworking people, and they're like, hey, if you want nice things, work hard. Great. Understood. Started having cows, and then once I was able to drive, I was working my first ever job for $10 an hour. Remember, $10 an hour was for a contractor. So like building houses, renovating houses, things of that nature. Also the cows. And I detailed cars, and I would mow lawns too. So just everything that like a 16, 17-year-old dude could do, I was trying to do it. Well, it kind of got old. I didn't want to do that forever because I didn't want to, work myself to the bone, have a broken back, and then maybe retire whenever I was 70 and have nothing, right? Because most people, that's what you do. You're able to retire, but who wants to work 50 years or 40, 50, 60 years and then I get to walk on my walker for a few years? That ain't a life worth living, first off. So after like 6 months, a year working as much as I was like, there's got to be something better. So, of course, I started looking up and wondering ways to make quick money, how to be a millionaire in a freaking week. And I heard about investing. To me, that was making money from nothing. So, yeah, who doesn't want to make money from nothing, right? So, I started losing thousands of dollars a year. For like a year, I was buying all of the crypto bro courses, the trading, the options, the day trade, all of that bull crap I was buying. And I was wasting money on it, and I was losing money. So, eventually, I thought, there's got to be a better way. I dove into it. I was learning more and more, and I stopped doing all the get rich quick crap. Because if someone's selling you a course on how to get rich, you're only making them rich, okay? Anyways, so I get sidetracked, so I got my little timeline here. So anyways, started like saving every freaking penny that I could in high school and investing it just in ETFs, index funds, or just the whole overall market, right? Like long-term safe stuff. But here's the thing. I always was trying to learn more and more about the market because it interested me. I was fascinated with it because I thought that that was the only chance that I had to retire one day, maybe at 40 or 50 instead of 70, right? I thought that, maybe if I do this, I could have a life worth living instead of working myself half to death to have nothing, to have barely any time, okay? So, again, I started just diving freaking deep into it. Now, you can say I was lazy because I didn't want to work 60 hours for my entire life. Sure, fine, all right, whatever. You can, that's fine with me. I just wanted to actually enjoy my life and have a tiny sense of freedom and not be a slave to a job that I hated, have to do things all day long that I absolutely hated. I wanted to enjoy my life. If that makes me lazy, yeah. And I'll admit I probably am just a little bit lazy. But anyways, I stuck with it and I started learning more and more and more and saving and saving and saving. And so then I graduated high school, and in my brokerage account and retirement account, I opened up a Roth IRA when I was 18, which I highly recommend doing that to everyone. I had between $10,000 and $12,000 in there. Now, I was saving some freaking money. So let's see, I had about that much invested, and then I graduated high school. I started college, and I was working at Walmart. Got a pay raise, $13 an hour. Woo! Anyways, so again, I was trying to work as much as I could, detailing cars, mowing lawns, all of those things while in college, blah, 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 blah. And then the pandemic happened, whatever. And that's when everything changed. Seriously, that is when everything changed in my life. I saw companies that I thought were amazing long-term investments drop 70 and 80%. Okay? If a stock drops 80%, you buy it and it recovers to what it was before, that's a 5x return. That's 500%. Stock market averages about 10% a year. So, well, how did I do that? I sold everything that I had. Everything I owned, stock market wise. I sold all of my ETFs, all of my index funds, everything, okay? But what I did after I sold that money, I then bought specific individual companies. Hold up. I did not go all in on crypto. In fact, at that time, I wasn't even investing in any crypto. Now it's a small part of my portfolio, but back then I didn't understand it. So I did not go all in on a single company. I split my money up pretty evenly between 15 to 20 companies that I saw long-term value. These weren't hype stocks. These weren't penny stocks. These were established companies that, since I had spent so much time learning about how to value companies, how to estimate future potential of a company and all this complicated BS, right? I was buying into them. And once the stock market had recovered from the 2020 lows in, late 21, my account had grown to over $30,000. Big money, right? I still wasn't spending it. I was still working, and I was probably saving 30 to 40% of my income at this time, working at Walmart, $13 an hour. And most of what I lived off of was just the detailing cars and stuff like that. So I continued to invest and save and invest and save and blah, 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 blah. Boring stuff, right? Then 2022 happened. And different companies had dropped again, 70 or 80%. Some examples that I bought, honest to God, these are some that I bought. I was buying Robinhood in the teens. Palantir under, oh my Lord, Palantir, I was buying it at $7 and $8. That was freaking crazy. And then Hims was under $5 at the time. And, some Tesla and other things of that nature. But like I said, I wasn't going all in on one company. I was diversified between about 15 to 20 companies. And by late 22, when the market had recovered, guys, that's when it hit me. The account had blown up. Absolutely blown up. Okay? I told you before this it was $30,000, and you can look up what some of these companies are worth today. I'm not going to get into how much I had made in a year. I'm not a multimillionaire, at not necessarily close, but it was enough for me to stop worrying about stuff. But I saw that in six months to a year, I made more than I had my entire life working. That was my oh hell moment. My oh moment, That's whenever I realized, and it wasn't necessarily the fact that I had made a lot of money. That was nice. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I didn't care about making a bunch of money. But what hit me so hard is that I had worked 5 years for $20,000 in savings. And in 6 months, I made exponentially more than in 5 years of my life. And I thought, how much of my own time did I just buy back by doing this? That is when I decided, okay, we're going in on this. We are absolutely freaking going in on this. After I graduated high school, I started college, and for the most part, all of my time went to learning about the stock market and investing and like how to value companies and things of that nature. I was not a good student at all. Oh my Lord, I was not a good student. But like I said, I just saw how much time that made me, and I thought, this is the only way. It wasn't about being able to do nothing all day. It was the fact that, again, I wasn't slave to a job that I absolutely hated. I wasn't destroying my body for a hopefully chance of a few years of retirement. This was, holy crap, this works so well. I've got to start telling people how to do this. And I tried to, tell other people, friends and family, hey, you should start saving and investing. Oh, cool. Anyways, hey, let's go to the movies and put it on the credit card. Hey, let's go to, vacation for the 3rd time this year. I'm not talking bad about anyone, but let's face it. Most teenagers or 20-year-olds, they don't care about the stock market. They don't care about investing or savings, and they really can't see past tomorrow because most people are freaking children. Spoiler, most adults are also freaking children too, but that's another video. So, even after the account blew up to numbers that I did not think that I would be seeing until my late 30s, I still didn't start spending it. I didn't quit my jobs completely. Now, did I go to part-time? Yes. Did I sell out of my cows whenever the loan was pretty close to being paid off? Yes. Because, well, in all honesty, I didn't need to work that much. But I also wanted to have the time to really dive into this more, to start learning about politics. Because here's the thing, guys, if you don't think politics affects you, well, congratulations, you're still living in a freaking baby room, a crib, because every single decision and every single aspect of your life it revolves around politics. Okay, and I'm not going to get into politics on this channel yet, but the more you know about politics, the more you know about global events, the more you're able to know about the stock market and companies, because the freaking weather can affect the stock market. Okay, guys? So, again, in a year, made more money, so I started completely diving in on it. Okay, let me back up to 2019 to kind of explain to you how cheap I was. I was crazy. I was obsessed. You probably thought I was mentally ill if you were one of my friends at the time. Not that I don't. Not that these people aren't still my friends. I'm just saying at that time, if you were my friend, you probably thought I had lost my freaking mind because I did not live nicely. I did not live well, okay? I didn't do without. I didn't go hungry. I thought I lived an amazing life. I had food, drink, water, a bed. I was freaking living, and I had a paid off car. So I moved out of my parents in 2019, and I bought an old trailer for $12,000 or $13,000. It was not a nice trailer, but it was my trailer, and it was nice. I had my own little place. It was very, very nice. So let's see. Okay. For several years when I moved out, my entire yearly expenses, everything that I spent money on, was less than $15,000. Let that sit in. That's car, insurance, gas, food, groceries, utilities, phone, internet. I didn't have a car payment because I sold my expensive high school car, and that was the thing that I spent the most money on whenever I was young. Traded that in for a Nissan Altima that I still have today, and it's awesome. Gets so good gas mileage. But anyways, so oh yes, how crazy I am. Um, it was like 80 plus degrees in my trailer during the summertime because I didn't want to spend the money on the air conditioning. And during the wintertime, the only heat that I would use would be this tiny little space heater, and I would put it in front of pipes to make sure that they didn't freeze and bust. But me, I would wrap myself up in an electric blanket because I didn't want to turn the heat on because I wanted to save every freaking penny that I could. So, okay, and another reason why I was so cheap, and I still am cheap today, is because I had lived through losing so much of my money in just a few days because of stupid trades, right? I don't do stuff like that now, but that still keeps with you, working thousands, working for thousands of dollars just to lose it in a day. That'll keep you up at night, and it did keep me up at night. Oh my lord, I am not able to talk. It did keep me up at night a lot, but that, maybe anger, I'm not sure. But that drive, because I had lost so much money, is what made me keep buckling down and learning more. Now, I'd stopped losing money, but I'm going to learn what I'm doing before I start doing it. So, let's see. Okay, late 2022, I was working as a seasonal federal park ranger, right? And I was making like $17 an hour. Guys, that was baller money to me. I was still saving like half of my income. But this was also around the same time that the account had absolutely freaking blown up. But here's one of the most important things about like investing and like how I was able to do it, how I did it. Excuse me. I wasn't spending the money that I was making in the stock market. I was living off of whatever income I was making, like working. And even that, I wasn't spending all of it. I mean, I was still saving a very, very high percentage of it. However, whenever I started making $17 an hour, I was eating Sonic a little bit more often. I was eating out a little bit more often. But I was still probably saving like 40-50% of my income at that time. But again, I did not build my lifestyle around my brokerage account. Okay? That's no. One reason why you don't do that is because you only pay taxes on stocks when you sell them for a profit. If you never sell your stocks, you never have to pay taxes on it. So, if you have, six figures in a checking account, oh my goodness. I ran out of coffee. That's why I can't speak. If you have, 6 plus figures in a investment account, that doesn't mean you have $100,000 to go spending. In fact, you need to think, okay, this $100,000, let's do normal stuff, is going to make me $1,000 a month max. Okay, so let's just say you have $1,000 a month to spend instead. And then in the future, 5, 10, 15, however long years in the future, if you need money, just borrow on those assets. And then just keep redoing the loan as they increase in value. So, all right, let's fast forward to today. I lucked out. I'm truly blessed with an amazing wife. And she actually does work part-time at a job that she loves, and I don't think I could get her to quit, even if I had millions and millions of dollars. To me, that is a very important thing about life, jobs, careers, whatever. If you're going to find a job or have a job, and it's one that you actually enjoy doing, that is the difference between living a life and being a modern day slave. I'm not trying to make the comparison that it's the exact same thing or whatever, but what I am saying is I see 90% of people around me that hate their life, hate their job. That if they could push a button and do something else, they would. But they can't because they're trapped at that job because of either lifestyle or debt or just they don't know that they could start saving money. You're not going to do it overnight, and I'm not going to be telling you, oh, you're going to be able to get rich in like a year or so. I got lucky with two pretty intense market crashes in my life that I was able to take advantage of. I'm just trying to show y'all that you can do the exact same thing that I've done. I'm not some genius. I'm not special. I'm not here to sell you a course. I'm not here to teach you how to option trade. I'm here to tell y'all and show y'all that buying good companies at discounted prices will literally change your freaking life. Now, a lot of people would consider me rich. I consider myself rich because I get to decide what I do with my own time. To me, that's what being rich is. Like I said, I still drive my paid off Nissan Altima, so I don't have mansions or Ferraris or anything like that. But me trying to show people how to do this, that selfishly, it kind of makes me happy. Whenever I'm talking to a friend and they're like, "Yeah, man, I've started my little budget here a little bit, and this is how much I'm saving, and in the past 2 months I've been investing, and like that makes me happy, guys. Whenever I speak to a client in like the financial coaching, and 3 months later they check back in, and it's like, hey, got that credit card paid off, got this paid off. We're not as behind and down as we thought they are. That makes my heart happy. You can call me a wuss or whatever, but I am such an emotional person. I like helping people. Again, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not trying to make money off of y'all. I'm trying to just show y'all that it's possible to completely change your life. And it's not really that difficult. I'm not trying to be mean or rude, but it's not hard. It's really not hard. You don't have to cut out everything in your life like I did, like from 16 to 20 years old. You can just save 10 or 15% in the S&P 500 and guarantee that you're going to retire a millionaire. Now, if you want to speed up that process, the more sacrifices you make and the more effort you put into it, I mean, guys, for me, it was 8 years, 16 to 24. And now this is what I do full time. I didn't think that was going to happen at 16, but it did. So that's what I do all day. I mainly, keep up with the news, keep up with stocks, and keep up with all that stuff. You can imagine me at home in a little French maid outfit cooking and cleaning. And speaking of that, learn how to freaking cook. That is awesome. You deserve good food, and you deserve to not have to pay a lot of money for a good meal. Learn how to cook yourself. And if you're trying to find a honey or dude or whatever, learn how to cook. That's awesome. That's not how I got my wife. Obviously, I got her from my manly, gorgeous face. I'm kidding. I have no idea how I got her. Anyways, so what I'm trying to do now is show and tell people how I did it and that they can do it themselves. That I feel like I can relate to people more because I've been there, right? Now, I haven't been divorced 3 times and have 3 kids and a mortgage and all that, but guys, my living expenses for several years were under $15,000. I know what it feels like to work 50, 60 hours a week for $10 an hour. Now, I might have had a lot in my investment account, but that doesn't mean I was spending that much. I know what it's like to lose thousands of dollars doing bull crap in the stock market. But I also know what it feels like whenever you're finally able to break out of that. And that's really what I want to do. I want to show people that it's possible because I'm not special. I'm not a genius. I don't know anything that you don't know. So if it was possible for me to go from a just regular 16-year-old to doing this completely full time by 24, it's possible for y'all to at least retire with dignity. And if you put more effort into it, You're going to retire earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier. Go to an investment calculator, just whatever website you'd like to go to, and start putting some numbers in there. Over from 25 to 65, roughly every $100 you put into it every single month consistently, just in safe stock market stuff, not individual companies or anything like that, just normal safe stuff. Every $100 a month from 25 to 65 is about $1 million. Some of y'all didn't know that. A lot of people don't know that. So if it's $100 a month to be a millionaire by 65, what if you do 200? What if you do 400? What if you work your freaking tail off and put $1,000 a month in there? What if you start spending more time studying stocks and companies and this and that? Now, if you don't have hours to put into learning about companies and investing like that, don't do it. A lot of people will get scared when a stock falls and they'll sell out of it. If you don't have the understanding that we are saving for a very long term, then don't invest into individual stocks. You'll probably lose money, not because you pick bad companies, but because you let your emotions dictate your trades. We got to be freaking computers here, guys. We don't let our emotions make our trades, okay? We're investing for the long term. If a stock price goes down, it just went on sale. But again, I think I'm gonna end this there. Again, I did it in 8 years. Am I a multimillionaire? No, but I get to decide what I do with my day every single day, and to me, that's really all that you can ask for. And yeah, if I could do it, y'all definitely can do it. So thank y'all so much for watching, and I really hope this helps.